Okay, so this year, Eli's gonna watch The Good Place. Sam's gonna watch
Twin
Peaks. And I'm going to fuck whatever y'all were wanting me to watch. I'm going to rewatch Breaking Bad.
Wow. Wow.
I'm joking. I'm already planning to do that, is why I said that.
I'm trying to think what me and Eli would have in common to
Gravity Falls, Steven Universe.
Yeah. Gravity Falls and Steven Universe.
Or both.
Go with Gravity Falls, because I already like Steven Universe and would probably finish watching it at some point anyway. But Gravity Falls I probably would never fucking bother with, because I just don't watch TV that much, especially not cartoons. So if y'all want to force me to watch Gravity Falls, I will.
Gravity Falls took a lot of inspiration from Twin Peaks. So
yeah. We watch all three of those and then we reconvene.
Yes. Welcome to RPG Book Club, the podcast where we play a little bit of a video game and talk about how it makes us feel. I am Sam Ullman.
I am Elias Sailor Eli Warren.
And I am Maddy Grace Webben.
And today we'll be talking about the third part of Septerra Core, covering everything up until we get to Scumtown. But before we get to all of gestures vaguely that, how was everyone's week?
Well, first of all, Happy New Year to everybody. It is the year 2021, and we're coming at you live. It's not live, although we hardly do any editing of this thing, so it might as well be live as far as that goes. Raw and unfiltered. Anyway, I had a great holiday season. Obviously, it's been longer since we've heard back from Eli, because me and Sam were doing the Parasite Eve episodes. But my week has been mostly dope. A couple things happened that were not so dope, and I got kind of depressy and stuff for a while there. But other than that, I had a very busy and stressful week, but also exciting, in which, New Year's is fun. I had a really good phone call. I had a really good video Zoom call with my brother and sister-in-law up in Seattle, and my girlfriend joined us. So it's the first time that they'd ever talked to each other, not just on the internet, or not just on Twitter. First time they ever talked in a video call, which was really cool, and they got along really well. As I assumed that they would. I had no doubts that they were gonna hit it off. And then I had this huge stressful thing where I almost had so I'm going to be finding a new place to live in 2 months, but that 2 months almost became, let's say the third, that 2 months from now almost became last Friday.
Oh shit.
Cause we found a really good spot, and it would have meant that I would have had to pay a double rent for a month, because I need to give 30-day notice. But it almost worked, and then at the very last second it fell through. And it sucked. It sucked that it fell through. The good news, though, is the place we were looking at was a little bit more expensive than I would want. Only a little bit, not a ton, but about $100 more than I would have been super comfortable with paying for rent. So I started freaking out. As it became time for us to make the decision, I started freaking out and oh my God, is this really okay? What if I'm making a terrible decision? What if I sign a lease and then we can't pay it, and then we're out on the streets and blah, blah, blah. So I sit down and I start doing the numbers, and the more I did the numbers, the better they looked, actually. Nice. I realized I'm in a better financial position than I thought. And basically, I won't go too into all the numbers or anything, but basically it was hey, so my partner who's moving up here to live with me, if they happen to just not get a job, if they just something happened and they were unable to get even the tiniest, crappiest of jobs ever, they just were, unemployed forever. Therefore, having us rack up a massive deficit, right, between the amount of money that we need and the amount of money that we have. And if my work didn't pick back up at all, which it will. So basically, if just, pretty bad case scenario.
Worst of the worst.
If that all happened, we'd run out of money in 7 months.
Dope.
Yeah. So once I started doing those numbers, I was I was really scared over nothing.
I know that
7 months is a long time to get in the black budgetarily. You know what I mean? Because I'm expecting this move to eat into my savings a pretty good bit, but like not that much, right? Not that much. So funny enough, even though it was a really stressful day and I was really disappointed that we ended up not getting the place in the end, the next day I was like, wow, now that I've done all those numbers, this whole moving, getting a new place to live process isn't nearly as scary as it was 2 days ago. So that's good. And again, I'm bummed out that we couldn't get a place, but there'll be other places. You know, I just gotta keep checking and keep looking into it, and eventually we'll get something. So keep your fingers crossed for that. But like, it's gonna be fine. So I think that's pretty much it for me. What about you, Sam? Let's have you go last, since I want to hear about the entire last month of your life. I mean, you don't have to share, but theoretically.
Yeah.
So 2 days ago, on the 1st of 2021, was our first annual Christmas feast. We had nobody over this year because we weren't gonna kill everybody that came to eat our barbecue meatballs.
Wait, why wouldn't you have anyone over? Is there anything? Is there something going on?
Everybody's out watching the Backstreet Boys reunion tour.
Yeah,
nobody wanted to come visit.
Yeah, Backstreet Boys are they're marginally more popular. It's true. Backstreet is back.
All right.
They've been back for a long time now. I think we're getting pretty sick of them.
Yeah. But
marginally more popular than Sam, though.
Yes. But technically, we did have someone over. Matt dropped by, and I gave him and Becca a jar of salsa and some homemade cookies.
Cute.
So we still shared the love in a drive-by, masked up, COVID safe situation.
Hell yeah, I love that.
But it was phenomenal, and the best part is we're all vegetarian. I'm not morally vegetarian. I just don't want to buy 2 sets of groceries, so I'm functionally vegetarian.
Yep.
Like if we go out to eat, I'll get whatever I want, but at the house, it's all vegetarian food.
It's like at that point you might as well.
Yeah, vegetarian food. You don't have to roast a beast for 6 days like you do for a ham or a turkey. So the cooking and everything, I was in my mind, I was thinking back to all of the Thanksgivings and Christmases past and being like, oh, well, summer's going to start cooking at 6:30 and we're going to finally be able to eat at 3 in the afternoon. And it was maybe 50% longer than a normal meal cook because
it was just veggies.
It was just veggies and you just cooked all the things. But we had home run in pizza that we added Beyond Italian sausage to, which was amazing. We had Gardein meatballs and made my Mima's barbecue meatballs recipe, which was so good. We had tacos where Summer made the taco shell with cheese, a stuffed cheese taco shell. So good. We had my salsa recipe, which is, not to toot my own horn, but it's the best salsa I've ever tasted. I just threw something together several years ago and was like, oh my God, this is great. And now it's mouth-watering to think about. And so we had that. Trying to remember what else we had, but it was a lot of good shit. I sent a picture to Maddy. It was a plate full of
it looked really good.
Shit. Yeah. And the idea of our Christmas feast going forward will be very potluck like. So instead of it being a meal that makes sense, it's all just what are all the hits? We're just going to make
what's some stuff that
all
tastes
the hits. Good. Yeah. And so my plate is not cohesive at all, but it all tasted really fucking good. And that was amazing. So I then spent the rest of that day playing Xenoblade Chronicles 1, and I beat the main game of the definitive edition, and it's real good and gets real Takahashi at the end. There's a part, as in every JRPG, where you're standing on space, but Takahashi made sure you knew you were standing on the actual space. You stand outside of Jupiter and it says you have arrived at Jupiter when the map pops up. So it wants you to know you are in actual real space. And
one thing I love about Takahashi, it really is cool how every game in the Xeno series, even though it seems like it's just totally fantasy, at some point it's like, nope, this is technically science fiction. It is just far in the future, but in normal Earth timeline. Like, every Takahashi does that a game at some point. And Xenoblade Chronicles waits so long that you think it's for the first time not going to pull that, and then it does.
It does. At the exact same. And so, having beaten both Xenoblade Chronicles 1 and 2 now, they do line up in a very cool way, and it's really cool. They functionally are separate. It's like, did you ever read The Giver and Gathering Blue?
I've only read The Giver, actually. I've heard Gathering Blue is really good, though.
It is really good, but they basically have nothing to do with each other, but the main characters end up in the same place on like the last page. So both of them could be book one. That's how Xenoblade Chronicles 1 and 2 are. Like, both of them could be book one. They just do stuff. Sorry, I probably just spoiled a little bit of Xenoblade Chronicles 2 for you, Maddy, but whatever.
I mean, it's whatever. Not really.
Yeah. But it's really cool, and I like that a lot. But I'm now making my way through Future Connected, which is, it seems like the sort of thing that I would like attach myself onto in like the PS2 era. But now that I'm a grown up, it's like, hey, you could look at all of this like side content you can do. I'm like, I'm just here for the plot, please and thanks. I just beat a long ass JRPG. I don't want to go and like play hide and seek with these kids. I'm not going to do it. So it's a little jarring to go straight into it. It definitely was made for the people who had beaten it 10 years ago. But then the coolest thing that happened in my week is happening my week tomorrow as of recording. It'll be the day you're all hearing this out in the world. But Storm's turning 1.
Yay! Happy birthday!
Happy birthday to this fat ass little boy.
Oh my god.
And
I just heard Summer in the background.
Yeah. I love him so freaking much. He is going through a growth spurt or a teeth spurt or something right now, and he just wakes up and cries all the way until he goes to sleep at night, and it's real frustrating. But sometimes he'll stop crying and like smile at you with his 4 teeth, and it's the best thing in the world. Fucking love kids. But speaking of 2021, I have my New Year's resolution for the year is to play one of each JRPGs, and I'm going to play one out of every main JRPG series. And I completed Xenoblade Chronicles 1 this morning, so my Xeno checklist is off, and so I just have 20 other series to get through this year, which is nuts, but it should be fun.
Nice.
Other than that, GDQ started today, and that Donkey Kong run was fucking great.
Shit. I forgot it was GDQ time. Fuck.
Yeah.
I forget, and then Bernard sweetly reminded me, but it didn't matter because I was busy all day.
Yeah. It's great, and I'm excited to have it on and pretend to be working all week.
Man, now I'm sad that I missed a Donkey Kong run.
It's a good one. Check the VOD. It was a race that was like literally synced until the last like level. And it was dope. But yeah.
It doesn't look like there's really much that's all that interesting to me tonight, but
yeah. That's kind of the theme for this whole GDQ is it's a lot of stuff that I'm like, how was that interesting? But I trust GDQ, so it's probably great. Like Just Cause 3 this morning, I was like, whatever, it's a shooty pew pew game. But no, it's actually a game about grapple hooking onto airplanes.
I watched a friend of mine play Just Cause a while back, and we've been calling it Just Cause.
Just cause.
Just cause. Because you can do things like grapple onto a helicopter and just spin around endlessly. Just cause.
Yeah. It's nuts. Like there was one trick where like you can call in a drone strike or something, and if you do it just right, you can get the plane to be coming at you at this particular angle where you can then grapple hook onto the plane that just brought you stuff, throw the guy out of that airplane, get the airplane and steal it and run straight to the end of the level and skip the rest of it. I'm like, this is cool. I'm down with this. But yeah, that's all I got going for me. Eli, where the fuck have you been?
I was in Alabama for like a week. I know. Why the fuck would you go to Alabama? Well, it turns out I have a bunch of really close friends who live there. Mm-hmm. They've been there. They've been friends with me for like 12 years. Mm-hmm. And so we took a trip over there because it's like a 12-hour drive total, which is closer than my parents. And my parents had asked us not to come up for Christmas this year. So I was like, all right, that's fine. My friends I have trusted to be very safe, and Ken and I have been very safe, and we basically did nothing all week. We sat around. Awesome. Yeah. We sat around, watched some YouTube. I demonstrated some Shovel Knight for one of my friends. We played Cards Against Humanity, and that was really fun, and just ate a lot.
Yeah.
And I really needed it, and I'm glad to be back. And there's been some fiascos since then, but for the most part, everything I think is good.
Nice. Fiascos?
I know.
Eli, you see, the thing about implosions is after it implodes, it can't get any worse.
Sam, stop saying that. Actually, I had a bit of a fiasco, not in my own life, but my one of my bestest friends broke up with her partner last week, which was very unexpected. Oh, no. But she told me she was okay. I said, I'm putting my phone on not silent, so if you need anything, let me know. And I wanted to hang out with her and give her some love and make sure she's okay, but it seems like she's fine, and we were both really busy, so we haven't hung out. I could have canceled my plans to hang out with her if she wanted me to, but she didn't say anything. So it's probably fine, but still, that's kind of shakes. It's it makes you. It's very shocking, right? And I was worried, but it's probably fine. Hopefully,
yeah. But yeah. On that note, speaking of girls, let's listen to the stripper version of Battle Theme 3 that we got to hear this week, and then we'll talk about the plot. It has been a hot minute, so indulge me while I catch everybody up.
Thank you. If you're actually, real quick, while I was streaming this, I was I have no idea who these people are, what our goal is, where I'm supposed to be going. I have no clue. And hopefully, if I just keep playing, I'll figure it out. And it wasn't for an hour until I was like, oh, right, the Lynch shits. Yeah. The whole plot of the game. Anyway, go on.
Yeah.
So those of you in the future that were like, oh boy, they covered Septerra Core and are listening to this not as it comes out, forgive me for this paragraph. But last time we tried and failed to stop a war between the two countries on Shell 5, and then the country of Janan was flown with a doomsday rocket-propelled tentacle into the bottom of Shell 4, which I think was actually at the bottom of Shell 3, which means it went past Shell 4, but I don't fucking know. But to an upper shell. It's now smushed on the bottom of it. And we escaped with Selena on our side. made it to Shell 4, where we met up with Gunnar, who told us that Doskius was going to make a new conjunction, which is where the light shines on the core, not by waiting until everything moves out of the way, but using lenses to bend the light around everything. So Gunnar wants us to go down to the mining colonies and stop the creation of these lenses. So that's where we start this week. The bar that we saved in, and we were like, oh, everybody save when you get to the bar. It's a whorehouse called the Ill Repute. And
which is a really good name, I will say, by the way.
Yeah. But unfortunately, everybody just calls it the Bar and Brothel, which is a bad name. Very few people refer to it as the Ill Repute. But yeah, it's just a B&B. So we ask around and we find out that we are in what's called the World Bazaar of Shell 4, which is basically a Nar Shaddaa / Coruscant type city that wraps in a band, goes all the way around the equator of Shell 4, which is really cool. There are no cops and no government and lots of sex workers, so it sounds like a great place to live. And legend has it that Marduk ruled the world from his lost city, which is buried somewhere underneath the World Bazaar. And the intended path, I think, is as follows. So we're trying to get to Shell 7, so we go to the docks and ask around to get to Shell 7, and one person is like, oh, it's too I'll take you, but it's too dangerous. You need to get bounty hunter protection.
Because of sky pirates, I should mention, just because they'll probably show up at some point, and that'll be cool. So yeah,
because of sky pirates. I have a friend named Aram who would be able to do it, and nobody in the party seems to remember that Aram is the Reno looking motherfucker we fought.
Nobody in me also didn't remember that. I didn't notice all of yesterday's stream, and it wasn't until today when my girlfriend, like 2 seconds after starting to play, was like, oh, it's that guy from before, and I was like, it's what?
Yeah. I knew he was joining the party because I looked ahead to the scene in when we get Badu later, because that's where we were going to stop. So I'd look forward to that scene and saw him on the party screen. So I knew he was going to join. But
I'm so glad we stopped earlier, because
that
getting all
been
the way
so
to Badu
much.
would
it would have been way too much. Yeah, it made this week pretty small, but I'll deal with a small week, so it's okay.
Especially
because
it was enough.
It was small plot. It was not very small walking through that same cave dungeon, but we'll get there. So we come back to town and we try to go into the bounty hunter stronghold, but they won't let us in. We run into a guy in the bar who is loudly bragging about having the key to the back door of the bounty hunter stronghold that is in the canals, who we then provoke into a fight so we can take it off of his corpse. He doesn't die. You can repeat this fight and get as many of these keys as you want, which is weird. But then we go to the bounty hunter stronghold.
Hold on. There's a big weird thing that I guess you accidentally managed to skip, which is neat.
The explosives thing. Yeah, I saw that.
So did you just fight him normal style?
Yeah, I just talked to him and he was like, "Let's take this outside," and then I fought him and I got it.
Weird. I guess you might be higher level than me or something, because when I fought him, the way the path is supposed to work, and I was stuck on this for quite a while. You fight him, but after just a couple of turns, he just runs off. Like, he literally jumps off the top of the screen and just runs off like a goddamn coward. And then if you go to the brothel, you can fight him again. He's like, you again? And you're like, yeah, fuck you, fight me. And he's like, okay, I'll kick your ass again. And I'm like, you can kick my ass, you ran away, whatever. Turns out, outside of the brothel, in the area where you fight him, but not when you fight him, because all the battles all take place on the game screen, right? Outside the brothel, there's like a crane, and the crane is lifting. The crane currently has like lifted up in the air this big box. And if you talk to an NPC, the NPC is like, "Oh, that's a big box of explosives," and you're like, "Oh." So you get the crane to drop the explosives down to ground level, and then someone's just like, "Yeah, man, if you don't be careful. If somebody were to hit that thing, it'd blow up real good." And I'm like, it would it? So then you go and you provoke that asshole again, And it turns out that's where the battle happens, is where you already earlier dropped that explosive thing. So this time you attack the explosive thing, and it does like 4,000 damage and murders the guy instantly. And then you get the key, and then he is actually gone for real, because I guess that's the trigger, right? Like when you go back to the Bravo, he's actually dead. I guess maybe you just hit him enough that he died. So before he jumped away, I guess. I don't know.
What I did is I pressed Control Alt and F3 because I was in a hurry. So I was like, oh, it's a fight. It's some mook. It's not going to be as big scripted thing. So I cheated through it because I figured it was just a mook fight.
Yeah, no, it's like a big old puzzle.
That's funny.
Yeah, had me stuck for a while. Actually,
a
very smart puzzle. And I actually really enjoyed doing it.
Yeah, that one sounds better than the rest of them this week. So
I was still stuck for a very long time, but once I figured it out, I was like, yeah, this is all actually very reasonable. This one's on me. Like me getting stuck was not the game's fault.
Yeah. So we make our way key in hand through the bounty hunter stronghold, and we find that Aram, who is the redheaded guy from a few episodes ago, has been captured. So we break him out so he can get us to Shell 7. This order that I just described everything is not even fucking close to how I did it. So first thing I did inside of a new building in a new place is I went around and talked to people, found the guy, killed him, took the key off his corpse. Was like, apparently bounty hunters are important. Broke out Arium, did all the things that I'm about to talk about after he joined your party in the bar. Then I found all the NPCs that were like telling me about the world and how to break Arium out and all of the stuff. And then I finally got on the boat when I learned that it existed for the first time. Whoopsies. But yeah, so we get Aram back to the ill repute, and he puts on his robotic arms, and despite having very unique red hair and his name being said loudly to all of us several times, Corgan recognizes him as the guy from earlier and threatens him. Selena says no, he's a friend, and Aram says, guys, I'm wanted because I've refused to kill people in Wind City. If you remember, I didn't kill you. Duke tried to kill you, and I said no, and that's why I'm thrown in jail. You can trust me. And Corgan is like, but can we trust them? And then Selena has an argument with no one in particular that she loses, apparently.
This part makes no fucking sense.
She's like, who do you trust? My conscience tells me to stop Doskius' plans, but my heart tells me to save him, perhaps from himself. And Maya's like, well, that might not be possible. And she's like, enough. I don't have the time to waste on your arguments. If you want to help me, I'll stop Doskius myself. And she leaves.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, she's just like gets mad that we're not doing things. So basically she's like, look, we gotta force the vote. And if you don't believe in force the vote, it means you don't care about people dying of diseases. And I'm like, okay. And then she leaves, and everyone's like, I can't believe she betrayed us. And I'm like, did she betray? What even was that? Was that even a betrayal, or was that just something else? I don't even know what that was. I don't think that counts as a betrayal.
Yeah, what I think it is Aram is Selena until just now was a forced party member, and Aram from now till the end is a forced party member, and they probably didn't want to force you to have the one exact party for a couple hours. It's the only thing I could think of, because she's there when we get to the ending of this thing, and it would have made sense if she was with us the whole time, but whatever.
It's weird.
It's weird. So Grub asks Aram about his robo arms, and Aram says that he lost them
for short.
Yes, he says that he lost his arms while blindly following orders back in the resource wars, and now they're a reminder to always think for himself. And this is where he starts to oscillate from incredibly emo, I don't want to kill people anymore, to cold-hearted killer that said he would shoot the Underlost for fun when we get there. He is not consistently written at all. I like him, though. He's really fucking fast, and he hits really fucking hard. We take Aram with us to the docks, and the guy lets us through. But Duke, the Vegeta-looking motherfucker who is in Wind City with Aram, is hiding on the ship to stop us. He has not leveled up in the last 6 hours of game, and we have. So even without cheating, he dies in 1 hit.
Excellent.
So with Aram in hand, we make our way to Shell 7, which is the lowest shell right above the core. And it has the most goddamn bullshit back and forth.
It's so dumb.
Any RPG.
And like, I cheated my way through it, and I skipped some of the back and forth stuff, because I already had all of the key items in my inventory. Mm-hmm. But even then, it took so long.
It
was so
ridiculous.
Irritating. Yeah.
So the first place we get to on Shell 7 is the Bone Circle village, but we can't enter it. And the alien-looking inhabitants called the Underlost, they can't leave. We can inspect the pillars, and it lets you know that there's a supersonic screech coming from them, which might be why the villagers can't leave. So we make our way up and around this long, boring stretch of a world map to get to a cave dungeon, and we make our way through it. It's not hard, but there are a lot of enemies that you cannot sneak by. This becomes important in a second. The cave has 2 exits, one to the south, which leads to a cave with a piercing sound that you can't enter, and one leads to the west, which takes you to another huge area of the world map. Here, there is a forest with a giant map that has a lot of enemies that you, again, cannot skip past. It has a locked gate, an area with noxious gas that you can't go through, and a dead end with a flower that is closed and will not open. So you make your way back out of that giant map, and you find a mining colony, and it's abandoned except for one guy who exposits at you for a long time. And he says that the mine there was destroyed when the Chosen showed up and took over the mines that are in the Mold Forest, which is the forest we were just in. We ask him if he has explosives. He says yes, but notably does not give them to us. We ask him about the Underlost, and he says that they are blind, but they can see, like, have a telepathic link to see the glowing bioluminescence that's everywhere. The whole place, like, the Shell 7 is like foresty, but all the forest is like fungus and mold and goopy stuff. It's like that planet in Mass Effect Andromeda.
It's really pretty. It's kind of complicated. It's like part of it is like Pandora Planet, like Avatar ass, like everything's purple or whatever. But also it's like Lava Planet in other parts. It's just lots of colors. It's quite gorgeous, actually. Yeah. Also, I think it has my favorite. It's got the most Halo music yet. As if the previous places didn't already sound enough like Halo. But yeah, just like weird colors.
You're talking battle music, right? Because there's like no ambient music.
No, I mean on the world map.
The world map is the only ambient music.
Okay. Yeah, there's the ambient music.
There's lovely music.
Yeah. And so he says that they can see the glowing patch on their foreheads and other bioluminescent things, and they're super susceptible to sound. And the Chosen have trapped them in their village with some sort of sound device that they built underneath them. He says that the bone circles, which are the completely straight, non-circular pillars of what appear to be stone outside of the village, are made of Hellgak bones.
I think they're in a circle.
The circle of things on the world map is the landing spot and not their town. Their town doesn't have a circle around it. It's weird. I don't get it, but whatever. So he says that they're made out of Hellgak bones, and they are sound conductors, and they normally glow with a bioluminescent oil of some sort. He also mentions using explosives to fish in the lake nearby, but again, notedly, does not give us any explosives. That's about all that he has to say at this point, so we leave and explore the lake, but it's poisonous. Aram pipes up that in the war, they had to use dynamite to kill the animals inside of the lake and use their carcasses as bridges to cross, which A, is metal as fuck, B, is gross as fuck, and C, is the next thing that we do.
So fun fact, so Aram rules, and secondly, tip for anyone playing this game, keep Aram in your party at all times, not because he's good at combat, though he is, but because he knows everything. Like every single hint you need to progress in this game, if you didn't get it from the other like, if you don't get the hint from wherever you're supposed to get it, you'll probably get it from Aram, because he's like, oh, I know about this thing. And I'm like, well, I'm glad you do, because I sure didn't. I, at this point, was lost for ages on the whole what do I do with these explosives that I have thing. I didn't know what to do with them because I'm stupid and didn't read the dialogue. You might wonder, what do you mean explosives you already had? Yeah, I don't know where I got the explosives. They just happened to me. At some point I had them.
We'll get there. I'll tell you where they were. Because,
I'm excited to find out how I got them.
Yes. So at this point, we have reached a sound-based dead end, a explosives-based dead end, a flower dead end, a locked gate dead end, a noxious gas dead end, and made no progress on any of them. It's not like, oh, when you went to see the flower, you saw a thing and that thing will... No, you just see all 5 dead ends and you just got to deal with them. So I have no idea what the dev intended order for all of the things are, but here's the answer to all of those things. So the Loud Ass Cave, you have to go back to goddamn South Farm on goddamn World Shell 3, and this game doesn't have fast travel, so you have to walk back to your boat, take the boat to Shell 4, then take that boat to Shell 3, then walk to South Farm, then buy earphones from the shop, then take both boats back to come and go back through the cave dungeon twice to get to the bottom and use your earphones to fight it. It's uncalled for to have to go back to World Shell 3 and just remember that you saw earphones there back in the day. And especially because the earphones weren't marked as like a key item in the shop where you're like, oh, let me look through while I'm looking for things. Oh, earphones, and it has a key next to it. Let me buy it just offhand. It's an equipable item that protects you from sonic damage. It doesn't even feel like it should be the key item, but it is. It's bullshit. So that is, I will say, for the both for the viewers' assistance and also so that we can correctly assess the level of bullshit this week, because this week was bullshit, but I want to make sure we're not overstating the bullshit. I'm pretty sure this part's optional. No,
you don't need to kill that lava monster.
You need to kill that lava monster to turn off the sound so that you can enter the thing so Badu can leave with you, because he can't leave because he's an underlost. He cannot leave past the bone circles because they're making the loud ass noise.
Oh, I did it before. I see. I thought I beat it and I was like, all I got was this stupid item I can equip to protect against fire. Is this all I get for beating this boss and doing this stupid side quest? Okay, I did it out of order, so there you go. Okay, cool. Never mind. It's required.
Yep. It's required. So you buy the fucking earphones, you equip them on Maya, you come back through all the caves, you fight the boss. The boss fight is real fun. You have to take down all of the tentacles basically within 2 turns of each other so that he doesn't regrow them. And so it's like a timing thing. Having Corrigan in your party makes it a little bit easier because you can tell when they're in critical health. So you can leave them all critical and then like try to blow them up with a summon or something. But
I'm going to share another tip. Oh, yeah, I'm going to share another tip. If you combine water and summon, which we have now, you get an incredible water summon that does kill them in 1 turn. And it's really easy to just do that 3 times, I found out after struggling with the fight for quite a while.
Nice.
I totally cheesed it. But I was like, this kills it in 1 hit, and my action economy is enough that I can do it 3 times before they revive it, so I'm going to do that.
Hell yeah.
So that's a tip from me.
Yeah. So you then are like, okay, well, I stopped the noise. Let me go talk to the villagers and see what happened. So you talk to them and they still won't let you in. You did not actually resolve that dead end. So you go back through the cave dungeon with, again, unskippable enemies. And as you recall, all the animations are painfully slow in this game. So a good 20 minutes of your time every time you're going through the cave dungeon. But so if you so you go to talk to the miner again, but he doesn't have any new information right now. But Maddy, tucked away in where normally would be secret hidden chests in a normal JRPG, where like you would go back there and you would get an elixir, or maybe you'd get like next shop's item a little bit early, like those sorts of secrets are where the main key items are that he should have given you when he talked about both of these key items. So he mentioned the explosives, should have given them to you in a cutscene, and he mentioned the bioluminescent oil, so he should have given you that.
Oh, yeah,
the
I guess I just
lantern
found
in a
him.
cutscene.
Didn't even remember that I found him. I just noticed him in my inventory like 30 minutes later, and I was like, huh. Where'd these come from?
I happened to not find him, and so I was super fucking lost again later. But so you, like I said, you get explosives and a bioluminescent lantern, and it's empty. So you now use the explosives to cross the dark lake on the backs of dead Helgak, which is gross. And you get to the Helgak graveyard, where you find a small piece of bone on the ground right at the front of the area. There's a whole ass other area that has a lot of interactable stuff that you can't actually do anything with. So you would not know it, but you solved one dead end and created like 3 others.
Yep.
And so the little bone thing, you're thinking to yourself, what the fuck do I do with this? And you, the dumb person who could not remember that Aram was in your party, definitely don't remember that there's an NPC that talks about how in his spare time he likes to carve Helgak bones.
Oh, Aram doesn't tell you this either. Don't worry. This part killed me because I was streaming and I went back and forth for ages not being able to solve the puzzle. And the worst part is when I finally gave up and looked it up, first time I've looked something up this game after like 18 hours of gameplay. I mean, total, not this week. I was like, okay, fine. Let's see what kind of bullshit thing. At this point, I've already gone back to the Helgak farm because I'm like, the Helgak farm back on Shell 3. I bet if I talk to the NPCs there, they'll have something to say. I talked to every single NPC except for the one I needed to talk to. And then because I remember being like, cool. I remember being like, oh, that guy doesn't say anything interesting. I remember. So later when I looked it up, I actually felt like really mad because if the solution had been some complete horseshit, I would have been like, well, that's bullshit. So, I'm glad I looked it up. But in this case, I was like, oh, I just had to go to the guy who we had a whole thing about last week about how he carves Helgak bones and makes flutes out of them. I just didn't remember because I'm fucking stupid. Also, it was a month ago.
Yeah. He's also an optional NPC last time. So like the best you could have done was like you did, like, well, it's a Helgak bone. There's a Helgak farm. Let me back out through this entire thing that I'm doing, go somewhere else and look around it. Like it is, if the dev intended pathway is not a very nice one at best here. So it's fucked up. So so the hint that tells you that that you even need to do anything with the bone is now if you go back to the miner, he still doesn't say anything. But if you go back to the flower, so make your way through the big ass forest dungeon again, go to the flower and inspect it, and then go talk to the miner, he now gets another one about the flower, and he just says, oh, the flower is a food for Helgaks, and they open it by making their mating call. And so now I need to make a flute out of this bone to do it. More making you walk through dungeons to trigger pixels.
Well, I will say one thing that confused me even more about this part of the game. I don't know if y'all know this. Do y'all know about the mortar and pestle?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Does it factor into anything?
The concept?
No, in the game.
Oh, no.
So I was way more sidetracked than even y'all were because I got distracted by a red herring. Red herring? No. In the bazaar, you can buy a mortar and pestle as an item. One of the item shops just has them. You can buy a bunch of them. And I thought to myself, you know what, Maddy? Sometimes, like last week, this game did have an item we bought from a shop that didn't seem like it was a key item, but it was, right? So what if I bought like 3 mortar and pestles just to see? They were really cheap, so I'll buy a few, right? And it goes into my key items, not into my consumable items. So I'm like, what the fuck? I guess this is important at some point. And Sam had already told me that there was some bullshit puzzles in this, so I figured it was important. Once you find the Helgak bone, you can use it with the mortar and pestle, and you'll totally like shave off a little bit of the Helgak bone, and it turns like you can use one item on the other, like a puzzle get, like like an adventure game, and it turns into and it's consumable. It doesn't consume the bone, but it consumes the mortar and pestle, and now you have an item that's like bowl with ground bone. So I'm assuming this is an important thing I need to do to solve this puzzle. So that sidetracked me for like a fucking hour. I'm going around like, I'm literally going to like a Helgak and grabbing the mortar and pestle with the ground up bone and like clicking on the Helgak like, hey, do you want this? Do you want this? And then I'm going up to the flower and I'm like, hey, flower, do you want some crushed up bone? And then I go to the hermit and I'm like, hermit, do you want this? And it turns out, spoiler, I have no idea what it's for, and it has never become useful so far. Maybe next week. Next week, if you get stuck on some Helgak ground up bone thing, now you know what to do. Get the mortar and pestle from the bazaar. That's what you got. I don't know when this is going to become helpful.
So, yeah, we now that we have our flute, we make our way through the mold forest again for the umpteenth time, play the flute for the flower, and it opens up in a cutscene, but doesn't put a goddamn thing in your inventory. You have to instead click on the flower with the empty lantern to fill it up. So if you're like me, you didn't do the thing. So you walk all the way through and go back to the bone circle village, and you look at your lantern and it's still empty, and you then have to go do everything again twice. Don't be like me. Don't do it. But now that we actually have the oil, we can take it to the village and put the oil in the bone circles and communicate with the Underlost in their own language. It's really fucking cool, actually. Like the scene, I really like it because they're like, no one has ever tried to talk to us. They've just tried to talk at us. So you're welcome in our village is really cool.
Yeah.
I would have just I would have rearranged the world map so that the forest was right next to it and the flower would have already been opened. And that would have been the appropriate amount of puzzle for this part of the game. But and like the worst part is that cave dungeon that separates the two halves of the world map. If it was just a lot of world map trekking, it would be annoying and trying to figure out where to go. But the fact that like going the wrong direction wasted like 20 minutes of your time fighting all of the mobs to get through it is just brutal. It sucks so bad. But anyways, now we're in the village. The leader can speak English, so we ask him about everything. He says that the ruins in the forest can be opened with the help of an Underlost, and that the Chosen are mining on the other side of the gate, so he sends his best warrior, Badu, to help us open it. So we go back through the caves again and through the forest again, but this time we go to the gate, and we find the Chosen mining operation there. There are precisely 0 cutscenes for almost all of it, and we basically just murder a lot of Chosen dudes and get our way to the bottom where we see Caleb, as you don't remember, is Doskius's left-hand man. And
you're right, I didn't remember. Also, this part rules. No more puzzles, just killing a bunch of bad guys.
Yeah, gotta love it. We tell him to surrender, and he says, no, the lenses are already completed. So he sicks his mining Helgak on us, and we boss fight the shit out of it. You have 2 characters annoy it into showing its weak spot, and then your 3rd character jumps in at the right second to mollywop it. It is mechanically very cool. Narratively, though, it's not blocking our path. It's not mobile. We should have just left and followed Caleb, but whatever.
I did not think. Well, no, I mean, we're RPG heroes, Sam. We can't just not fight the boss. And the hero used that against us. He's like, wait, I know what I can do to distract them. I'll make them fight a boss. And they're like, I can imagine who's the young girl? I always forget her name. Led. I can imagine Led is like, Maya, we gotta go. And Maya's like, there's a boss. We have to kill it.
What are you going to do? Not get EXP? Come on. So we make our way to the deck of the... Oh, no, sorry. I skipped a small, very unimportant dungeon. So we run outside and we steal a skimmer and go up to the lens control ship. It's technically a dungeon and it technically has door puzzles, but it ain't hard.
No, so there's 2 door puzzles. One of them gets us a bonus item and one of them gets us to the end.
Yes. So we make our way to the deck and Gunnar has Daskius at gunpoint and he's delivering his badass Master Chief one-liner. But out of nowhere, Selena magics the fuck out of Gunnar to stop him from killing her boyfriend, who she watched admit he was just in it for the booty. And he feels literally nothing to her but disdain because she's a peasant. She watched all of this happen and is like, welp, that's my husband. She knocks Gunnar away from Daskius, and then Daskius slowly gets away on an elevator that has a hatch that's not even closed, and all of our party who want this man dead, who have guns, just watch him slowly descend into the ground. There's nothing we could have done. And as he gets away, Selena is like, I only wanted to stop you from killing him. I didn't want him to get away. And then Gunnar's fleet shows up to destroy the lenses, so we hightail it the fuck out of there and watch everything explode. But oh no, our ship explodes too, and we crash for the 3rd time in 3 episodes.
It's just
if you can't figure out
the game.
You know, sometimes you're giving a speech or something and you don't know how to end the speech, you know? Like maybe you're at a wedding and you get up to give a toast and you give a really beautiful toast, and then once you finish, you're just like, yeah, okay, bye. And then you sit down. You're like, how do I get off, right? Well, that could be a problem as a writer too. And one great thing you can do if you can't figure out how to sort of get out of your scenario is just have have a disaster happen and the characters get knocked out and wake up somewhere else. It's foolproof. It always works.
Yeah. So the next time you're at a wedding and you need to get out of a speech, just crash your airship into the wedding.
Also, like I don't know, J.R.R. Tolkien does it like 10 times in The Lord of the Rings.
So while we're knocked out, we're on a dark screen and there's a voice that says, Maya, you can't die yet. You have much to do. And Maya's like, Mom? And then she wakes up and the party is okay. There's been no drama to any of our airship crashes ever.
Yeah. You just wake up and you're like, welp.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
It's just a routine thing on this world. You just
actually
you wake up, you have your morning coffee, you crash your spaceship.
Actually, it's like the cars in the Super Mario Brothers movie. I don't know if you remember, but there's a little bit of a running gag in the Super Mario Brothers movie where the cars don't have brakes.
Oh yeah.
So the only way to stop your car is if you go into like a parking garage. It has this like elastic rubber catcher, like the kind of thing you see on like an aircraft carrier, to just catch your car and stop it because the cars don't have brakes, or you just crash the car into something, right? So that's how this is. If you want to get on an airship, it's you just crash it into the place you want to be.
So the party leaves to search the area, but as we leave, Connor, Daskius' general dude from the hologram last time, he comes out with 2 cronies and he's following us. The first place we can visit is Scumtown, so instead of entering, we save and come to bitch about this week's playthrough on the podcast, if you're anything like us.
Oh yeah. That's it for the week. When I finally crashed, I was like, the next town I get to had better fucking be Scumtown, I swear to fucking Christ. And it was.
So now we're going to listen to that Halo-ass song from Shell 7 and talk about our memorable moments. you got any?
I remember doing a lot of back and forth. It was very memorable. Honestly, there didn't feel like it didn't feel like there was a whole lot.
Yeah, we basically have 2 exposition NPCs once you get to World 7, and that's it. So there's not a lot of opportunity. There's a lot of cool stuff in Shell 4, but it's all tucked away.
Yeah. I don't know. I thought the Underlost were kind of neat.
Yeah.
They talk backwards.
Yeah.
So
I wondered about that.
Someone I was streaming with was like, "Yo, if you just recorded what they're saying and then reverse it real quick in Audacity, then we could hear them." And I'm like, "That's a fun idea. I'm not going to do it, but that's a fun idea."
I wonder if it's just nonsense. But on that note, one of my memorable moments is if you get Badu after he joins your party to interrogate the village chief, they just talk at each other for like an entire calendar minute in their reverse speak, and it's great.
It's actually very cool.
It's so good.
Yeah, you can just like with your RoboDog, you can have him talk, and he always just says something in his language, and you don't know what it is, and that's it. I have some when you're at the brothel. So there's actually a lot of really good party chat in this week. Although it's hard because now for once you can miss party chat because you have more characters than you do party slots. So you have to pick not just who do I want for comment, but whose party chat do I want, right? So as much as I love him, RoboDog did not spend much time in my party this time around, right? Also neither did Grub. Although I will say, man, Grub really earned his keep in that fire lava boss because of how much damage that summon did. Any other time he sucks ass. But anyway.
So speaking of party chat and Grub and the brothel, were you not about to talk about Grub's party chat at the brothel?
No, I was, yeah. Okay. So when you're at the brothel, when you go to the upstairs part where all the ladies are, first of all, it's all quite funny. And if Sam has some, I'll let him share them. But one of them, if you talk, he's basically flustered the entire time, right, by being at a brothel. And if you talk to if you talk to a bounty hunter, actually, the bounty hunter, the one who we trick into fighting us, he's kind of in charge of the place. He's like the pimp, maybe it seems like. So if we talk to him, if we pick Maya antagonizes him. But if we pick Grub, he says, "You have an interesting selection." And that might sound like a weird, creepy, pervy thing to say, but no, it's like he does not know how to behave in the situation. He's so uncomfortable. He's like, girls, sex, you sure have a nice selection of wares here, good sir. Like, it's really, really fucking funny. And the
voice acting is great because there's. When you're talking to one of the girls, Grub is like, Maya, I think we should go.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah, I figured that's the one that you had. I didn't screenshot that one. Yeah, a lot of great acting, by the way, by bit NPCs in this case. Just a lot of random lines. Other fun stuff. So the thing about what's her name? Who's Selena? The thing about Selena is she's like super pompous and stuck up. So the whole time you're on the bazaar, she's just scoffing at everyone for being like beneath her, right? At one point, she literally says, "You are beneath me," when someone tries to talk to her. Especially if you go to the slum area, which is totally optional, but you can go to the area that's just a slum. Everyone lives in like giant like concrete piping. The funny thing though is that would be annoying, right? But you talk to people and she says something really asshole-ish like, "Oh, this place is a gutter," or, "You're beneath me," or "How can you live like this?" But most of the NPCs talk back and they're like, "Yeah, fuck you, lady. Fuck off. You suck, you rich bitch." And it's extremely funny, actually. And I got a hoot and a holler out of that. So next, if you get Selena again, take Selena to this whole area. It's really, really funny. and just across the board, that's just pretty much how it goes. Is she says something asshole-ish, and then they tell her off. Let's see, and then
they're like, "Yeah, we live in the sewer, but it's New York City, best sewers in the world, baby."
Hey, the Big Apple, forget about it. Exactly. What else? Oh, also, just like the second you get Aram, someone is literally just like, "Oh, you look like you don't have arms." And then he proceeded to give us his entire life story. He doesn't just say, "Oh, I lost my arms in the war." He says, quote, "I lost them during the Janam resource wars with Ankara following stupid orders and killing innocent people. My new arms are a weapon and a bitter reminder of my past. They remind me never to follow orders blindly. I do what I want, when I want, for whom I want. If I join you, you must remember this or I will go my own way." And I'm like, dude, we just said hi. That's all we said. We're just like, hi. And he's like, "These arms are a reminder of my past." It's very D&D, right? Yeah. Like a character who's a little bit too eager in the first D&D session, and they're like, "Hi, so-and-so," and they're like, "These are my scars. They came from my tragic backstory." But also, like, every single thing Aram says is about, like, how he was in the war. Like, you click on any object, and he's like, "Yeah, back in the war.
Saw that in the war.
I saw that in the war. God, the things we had to do haunt me to this day." And I'm like, okay, dude, shut the fuck up. This is all you talk about. And also, finally, the fact that it's called the Resource Wars, I find funny. It's like, I don't know, it just seems a little... it doesn't really narrow it down as far as wars go.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
Awesome. So I have a couple that I found while doing the doing my notes, reading along with the LP, because there's no way in hell I would have done this, especially not this week. But so as we mentioned earlier, you can go back to Shell 3 if you make your way through the graveyard dungeon and then through the mountain dungeon and go back and talk to Layla, I think her name was. She has brand new written dialogue for some goddamn reason right now, like talking about current events. And on your way there, when you cross that little bridge that we did before, we're like, "Oh, you can see the shell underneath you. That's so cool." Now, as you recall, that shell is smooshed up against the bottom of it, so you can just see the corpse of Janam underneath Shell 3. And it's really cool.
Oh yeah, but, and even if you don't do that, even if you're just on Shell 3 in general, you can see that underneath. And I was going to mention that it's cool as fuck. It's so cool when they really did that.
Yeah, which means that somehow it did miss all of Shell 4 and smash into Shell 3, which
I guess
doesn't quite make sense, but whatever. But when you go and talk to Layla, she has new dialogue. A lot of it is just like, "Oh shit, I guess Armstrong is dead forever, and here's how the war is holding up for next time." But you can, so if you talk to the guy and like, "Hey, I want to go to Shell 7," he goes, "I'm only flying to Shell 3. I can't go to Shell 7 without a bounty hunter. So you can go to Shell 3 earlier." So if you take Selena with you, you can bring Selena, the person who killed all of Layla's friends and family in Armstrong, and make her talk to Layla. And it's actually kind of really cool. And so if you bring Selena along and you get her to talk, she's like, "Layla, I know it's not enough, but I'm sorry for all that I've done. What can I do so that you can forgive me?" And Layla says, "Weep, my lady, for flowers once harvested do not grow again." And I'm like, fuck. That's cool. No way anyone would ever see this ever again.
Yeah, she's like, "What can I do to make it up?" She's like, "Be sad."
Yeah.
Bitch, just have regrets.
Just cry, bitch.
Have regrets like a normal person.
Yeah. But then I also, the whole time I was playing this week was like, man, I should remake this game as a like SNES era JRPG. Like keep everything, but just let it be the RPG it wants to be. And so I was thinking of ways like to map the thingy to a controller to have like a person be as the square, triangle, and circle button like mapped to a character to do your interrupt thing and stuff. I'm like, man, I should do that. And then make, when they're in a cutscene and they're talking about a key item that they're going to give you, that they actually give it to you. Don't just put it in a goddamn chest around a fucking corner.
I will say I continue to really enjoy this game's mixture. It's basically a mixture of like Western RPG, JRPG, and PC adventure game. And I actually liked all the puzzles this week. I thought they were smart, interesting. They actually did, with the exception of the earplugs, which was horseshit. Other than the earplugs, they did adequately telegraph things. I mean, the NPC with the flute was an NPC that we probably talked to right back then. I actually very vividly, I remember really enjoying, because that guy gives like a whole fucking like life story if you visit him back earlier, and I remembered all that and quite enjoyed it. So when I realized what I had to do, same thing with the explosives, I was like, this is really cool. If this was if this was straight up just a puzzle in Grim Fandango, if this was a puzzle in Maniac Mansion, in Adventure Island, it would be really good. This would be it'd be a really nice, enjoyable puzzle. But it's just like making it where if you get the wrong idea for the puzzle, you have to backtrack through a dungeon 20 times is the worst. So like, man, if they just mitigated that and, you know, maybe dropped like one more hint, you know, do what Japanese games do is like have like a catch-all advice giver character, you know what I mean, like how in like Zelda there's like the fortune teller where you give them some money and they just give you a generic hint. Do something like that maybe, but mostly just because, like, you know, in Grim Fandango, if you don't know where to go and you're just dicking around, you're just running around screen to screen clicking on anything that clicks, but running from one end of the map to the other takes like 1 minute. Right. So like that's what makes it not work, which is a shame, because the intellectual put togetherness of the puzzles is actually really cool, and it's a cute idea. I would love it if someone else took that idea and tried it again but did it better. Yeah, like I would probably do the world map be like the Lunar PSP, where there will be places that prevent you from going, but after you beat it, you then have access to the list of places on either side of the mountain or whatever. Yeah, even Chrono Cross does it. Remember Chrono Cross, that like mountain pass? After you go through the mountain pass, you can just run through it on the world map.
Yeah,
or you can click a button if you want to go in there for some reason.
Yeah, like that sort of thing would solve most of this. Like if the traversing, because it's like part of me doesn't like the puzzle thing being at the end of a long dungeon, because it has been several times where it's like, oh, the puzzle is you get to the end of this dungeon and you have a problem, and so now you need to solve that problem. And the answer is outside of the dungeon. That's a little annoying. But if you could just like pick Kingdom Hearts style, where it's like, okay, I want to go to the forest dungeon and I want to start my exploration of the forest dungeon at the save room right outside of the thing. Like Persona 5 does that as well. So it's like if it had something like that going on, it would make like the game would just be exponentially more enjoyable. Like all the things I would change about this game are nothing actually about this game. It would just be modern conveniences that, granted, they had the best game they had to go off of at the time they probably thought about making this game was Final Fantasy VII. So they didn't have these Persona 5s and the Kingdom Hearts and all these other things that we're talking about. So it's like, I can't really blame them for doing it. It's just now we're in the future, and I would love to brush over some of the rough edges here to let the game shine.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, I think a more obvious thing would be to be like, why do they have these bullshit puzzles? Just cut them out. And I'm like, no, I like them though. So the question is more, how do we make the bullshit puzzles not so annoying? You know?
Yeah. And then the number one thing I would do is I would speed up combat animations by about 800%.
They're so slow.
They're so freaking slow.
It gets to the point where when I'm fighting a battle, I'm not just thinking of in-game efficiency, like what's the most efficient thing for me to do as far as defeating the enemy least number of turns. I'm also thinking real world efficiency. How do I beat this battle that takes the least amount of time?
Yeah. It's like, oh, I could take this guy down with a summon. Yeah, but if I did 3 people's level 3s, I think that's less animation time than the summon time.
And that's the thing. If you do 3 people's level 1 attacks, that's the safest. If you do 3 people's level 1 attacks, they're all charging at the same time. That's like free time, right? But that might not. But that means you got to wait for 3 different attack animations. Where if you let them all charge up and do one person's level 3 attack, then you only have to watch 1 attack animation.
Yeah.
I was like making those calculations in my head by the end, which is not what you want a player to be doing.
But I do want to reiterate, after ragging on this game this week, it's still really good, and I still really enjoyed like the world building and like Maddy said, the puzzles themselves are good, logical, leads to each other puzzles, even better than adventure games of the time were doing. A lot of times it was like you would find a mushroom and the thing you needed to solve was like a sticky wheel. And if you use the mushroom, a gnome will come out and fix a sticky wheel for you.
It's not that shit at all. It's like, we need a flute. We need a flute. This guy makes flutes out of Helgek. Like, that's not nearly as bad as like the first big puzzle in Grim Fandango, for example, to get out of where you have to put like foam chemicals into a machine inside of a balloon. It's stupid. I will say one other thing. Sorry, I was gonna mention. Wait, I said I was gonna say something, and then by the time I finished saying that 3-word phrase, it already slipped my mind.
God damn it! I hate when that
Never
happens.
mind. Sorry.
But yeah, this game is still great. I still recommend it to everyone. Just don't do it in a podcast where you need to get from plot beat to plot beat every week. Just take your fucking time with it. Because I think as well, like if I had all week of not having kids and holiday stuff to deal with, and I just had like a comfy amount of time to figure this out, it probably would have been fine to figure it out. But it's just I need to do this in 6 hours, and now I have to go back across the freaking dungeon again.
Oops.
One
final complaint in this game. Until you get inside of the Bone Circle village, at that point this changes. But everything up until that point, the only place where you can change your party is in the brothel.
Yeah.
That's the only place. So if you're all the way at the mine area and you want to change your party because, for example, there's a pile of
stuff that only Grub can
interact with. I'm thinking that's probably a plot necessary thing. So I backtrack through the mountain dungeon. I guess it's only one dungeon, but through the mountain dungeon, talk to the guy, fly to Shell 4, exit that area, go to the Shell 4 Bazaar miniature world map, click into the other part, the red light district, then go to the brothel, change party members, go all the way back to find out that it's an optional consumable item. Here's the thing, I will say, so far, this game has never actually required me to have a certain character in my party to advance the plot. There was one time when it did, but it was very minor because the place where you switch party members was like 30 seconds away.
Right there.
The game has never actually done that, but I keep thinking the game is doing it. Like I keep thinking, oh, I'm stuck. Maybe I need grub, right? And so far, that has never been the case. So I've been wasting time. I've been wasting my own time. But the game hasn't convinced me that it's not going to pull that bullshit. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because I expect that bullshit, I keep thinking
the first puzzle of the game. First puzzle of the game requires Grub and Runner to do a thing. And so it's like it gears you up for this idea of Grub can do tech stuff.
Yeah.
I might need him to do that.
And then once I find out that Grub can't do the tech stuff, am I just going to go on with my day? No. I have to make that whole trip again because I don't want him in my party because he sucks in combat.
Yep.
So my tip is don't actually go through the trouble of getting Grub in your party, because so far the game has not actually required him for anything important. It was just smelling salts. It's a Phoenix down. It's not worth it.
Not at all. But yeah, so in my hypothetical RPG Maker remake, you would change your party in the menu.
Yeah, or like on the world map at least.
Yeah, at the very least.
Yeah, being able to not do it at will, I get it. There's an argument for that. But like world map, right?
Yeah. But I at least, even if not world map, it would be like save points or some specific location on every like world shell.
Exactly. Not having to backtrack all the way through. Oh, like, I will give the game some credit for its autosave system. It does have that over other JRPGs of the era, which didn't have any kind of autosaving. The game did. The autosave saved me a couple times this week. One time the game glitched out when I was trying to talk to someone. I got stuck in an infinite loop, but luckily the autosave had my back, and I had to go back about 30 seconds of gameplay. Other times I've just forgotten to save, and other times I've been fighting a battle and I could win, but I would just rather lose because I'm doing so badly. I'd rather just say fuck it and try again. And autosave had my back. So I will say one objective way in which this game is a little bit more advanced than the games that it's inspired by.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, that will do it for the week. If you like what you hear, be sure to check us out at www.rpgbook.club, where you can donate to the show to keep our lights on, as well as find links to our socials, most notably our Discord, where all of our precious babies live. I don't think we got any new Discord babies this week, but that could be you. You could be our next Discord baby. And we will talk about how much we love you. Also on rpgbook.club, I was going to say that commissions are open, and if you would like us to cover a fairly short game, we would love to do that, except within 30 minutes of me putting it up, Bernard, good friend of Bernard and host of Bernard Remembers, commissioned us an episode on Dandy Dungeon, so that'll be coming soon-ish. We have to get .hack off the ground and all of that stuff, so it'll be a little bit, but Dandy Dungeon is coming up.
If you feel like playing,
I played the first little bit. It's real good.
If you feel like playing with us before we do the episode, if you don't want to just listen to the episode and have it spoiled and shit, you should play it. It's originally a mobile game. It was a FTP mobile gacha style game, but now it's on Switch with no microtransactions. The mobile game is the version that I've played all of. It's awesome. It's a fantastic video game. But the Switch version, which I'm now playing, because sadly if you're like, oh, the free to play version, I could just pay nothing and have to deal with like having to wait for energy to recharge sometimes. Unfortunately, they shut down the servers. So sorry, you can't play that version. You can only play the Twitch version or the Switch version, which is a shame because they actually did really cool stuff with like limited time events and the kind of stuff you normally get from gacha games, right? Where it's like play from now until next week and you can find an optional boss. Anyway, unfortunately, its original state is not available. So.
Well, it's really nice that the game still exists at all.
No, I agree. Like, that is dope. I agree.
I played Sailor Moon Drops for a while, which is just Candy Crush, but with Sailor Moon.
It's phenomenal.
It was really great, and I spent some money on it, and it's gone. The servers are completely shut down. You can't play the game anymore. Yeah, it really does. It only lasted like 3 years.
Yeah, me and Summer played Sailor Drops like every day.
Yeah,
and because it's a Candy Crush, but it like has a really good like is this level solvable algorithm. So it always felt like a puzzle and not like I'm just gonna play and hope I get good drops. It's like, okay, I need to like there's a common thing where it's like part of the Sailor Scouts gear would be like in certain bubbles and you have to knock them off the bottom of the stage. So you're like, okay, I need to do this. So I know I need to be like prioritizing my moves at the bottom, etc. It was like very like thinking man's Candy Crush, and now it's gone and it really fucking sucks.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you to what's the studio that makes
Onion Games?
Onion Games, yeah. Good job, Onion Games, having the idea to put it on a less volatile platform. It's a little funny because Danger Dungeon is one of the only games I've ever played where I'm like, this actually benefits from the gacha mobile format. It's not just like it would be better if it wasn't. So it's a little bit of a shame, but yeah, great job. Glad they did it. It's a great game, and I'm really excited for you all to play it if you decide to play it.
Yeah. But for now, this is the end of the episode. So I am Sam Allman.
I am Elias Sailor.
Sam, where are we playing next week?
Oh, shit.
Did you forget?
I did forget.
Well, as usual, we'll play until whoever's the most ahead of the rest of the group decides to stop.
Okay, so we are going to complete the Chosen Palace. We will exit the palace, have a core key in hand, and the game will leave you hanging with no idea of what to do next. So that'll be fun.
Cool. Chosen Palace, dramatic plot shit, core key, save.
Yeah. So that's where we are stopping. We will save after finishing the Chosen Palace when you get to the world map after acquiring a core key. The Maya will say there's nothing we can do ... unless we jump. So just in case there's another thing that sounds like that, because I just skipped forward X amount in the Let's Play. But it'll be the one where she dramatically jumps out of the Chosen Palace, and then we'll save.
Nice.
So,
and I'm Maddy Grace Webbin.
Perfect.
Oh, Happy New Year, everybody.
Bye.
Toodaloo.